Now we're going to talk about understanding the client, understanding the business. That's a big deal. That is essential for the auditor. We have to understand the business in order to be able to place expectations on that business so we know what we're expecting to see in a set of financial statements. So we're going to talk about that today. First, we're going to talk about why to learn about the client. Second, we'll cover the business model and we'll construct one. We'll look at financial performance of a company and an industry, and we'll talk about using the 10K. First, we're going to do a quick review of the audit process. The first step is, interestingly, to understand the business, understand the client. The second step is to understand the business processes that the client uses to achieve its objectives. We're going to talk about both of those two steps in the session right now. The third step in the audit process is risks, understanding risks, the risks that the client's business processes will not allow it to achieve its objectives, and ultimately, what are the risks that the financial statements will be misstated. The fourth step is controls, looking at controls, understanding controls, process level controls, management level controls, financial reporting controls, and those controls over the processes that we care about most in the audit, the processes that we want to rely on as we complete our audit. Then we'll test those controls. We will test the controls that we have selected where we want to place reliance. Fifth, the auditor tests the numbers, performs substantive tests. And those substantive tests consist of analytical tests and detailed tests, a combination of those. And then sixth, reporting, financial reporting. The auditor issues its report on the financial statements. So how much work does it take to get satisfied with a set of financial statements? How much work does the auditor have to do in order to issue that opinion? Is there a book to tell us? No. Is there a black and white clear answer? No, it's subjective. It's up to the auditor's judgment as to how much work it takes to be satisfied that we have reasonable assurance that the financial statements are fairly stated. It's judgment, it's subjective, and auditors learn to live with that. Auditors learn to make those judgments and apply evidence to supporting those judgments and ultimately arriving at conclusions. During that process, we have to prioritize. As auditors, we have to look at the accounts, the transactions, the processes within the business. We look at the risk, the size, the complexity of these things in order to prioritize what is the most important, where do we need to spend our time. We allocate our time, we allocate our procedures, and we're always using a risk orientation to drive what we're going to do, how much time we're going to spend with it, and when we're going to do it. WCGW, what can go wrong? That's a term used within the profession. Where do we place our attention? We're going to place our attention in areas that are most likely to be misstated. And we have to understand why those are likely to be misstated, and then what it is about the client's controls, what it is about our procedures that will allow us to get comfort with those areas. So our entire audit is risk-based. That risk starts with understanding the client.